annual Alabama A&M College of Business and Public Affairs silent auction. That's coming up on Friday, April the 7th at the Huntsville Country Club over on Oakwood Avenue. They'll be having a huge silent auction over there. It's free to get in, and they're going to have a lot of auction items, including cruises and cruises, tickets to comedy shows, dinner at very nice restaurants, all kinds of things, a flat screen, you name it, they've got it over there. All proceeds go to benefit students of the Alabama A&M College of Business and Public Affairs to help them get textbooks, provide scholarships for textbooks, and when these kids get internships, they of course need to travel to get to these internships. I don't know about you, but when I was in college, I didn't have, a spare $300 to $400 laying around for a ticket to get to my destination if I got a great opportunity. If somebody approached a student at Alabama A&M and said, I've got a great opportunity, internship, I need you to come to New York City and, work for several weeks, but you gotta get here, how would you get there? It becomes a problem. This auction helps students figure that out and fill in the details. So you're going to hear all about that. That's coming up on tomorrow's program. A couple of organizers are talking about that particular issue. So hopefully get these students some of the help that they need to continue their education. Right now, Michael Vance is here. He's with Stewardship of Wealth. Yes. And we're here to talk about your wealth and your wallet here on this Wednesday. Michael, thank you so much for taking the time. How are you?
Hey, again, I was just thinking, Justin, how great it is to be here today. I appreciate this opportunity to be on this platform to speak to the community about money. Stewardship of Wealth, we believe that it doesn't matter if you earn $500,000 a year, $50,000 a year, or $5,000 a year, you could become a better steward of your wealth. And we believe that it's a mindset, it's an attitude, really looking at your blessings and realizing that each day that you have to live is a better opportunity for you to do better each day. And the idea that married couples have great opportunities to do some wonderful things in their marriage with their money. As you know, money in marriage, there's a lot of arguments that have happened around money in marriages.
Oh, boy.
One of the things that we recommend and suggest to married couples, especially if you are an engaged couple, is to go through some type of marriage counseling that deals with you communicating about money first. That would probably be something to do. It also depends on how old you are when you get married. So if you're an older person, maybe you've got your career going and you're starting to think about getting married, your thought patterns is going to be different than a person coming right out of college getting married. And then if you're an older married couple that have children, maybe remarrying a second, third time, then your thought process is going to be different than someone that's getting married for the first time. And then if you're maybe a senior and your spouse is deceased and you're thinking about getting married and you're 60 plus, again, you're going to be looking at marriage and money differently. So we're going to be just dealing with, I think, a young couple coming together for the first time.
Sure.
And getting married, and how would they proceed to do that?
Yeah, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with disagreements when it comes to money? And, and I want to start with something because I know you've got an outline, but I just want to bring this in.
Right.
People, when they come into a marriage, sometimes they have one of two mindsets. Either it's my money or it's our money. So what is the way people should probably come about this?
Again, I would go back to making sure you get some type of counseling before you get married, because you're going to have a discussion ahead of time. If you want to find someone that you're equally yoked with, you're going to have some conversations. So if you see this person is different from you, you can start having that conversation ahead of time and say, I'm going to have to deal with this because it's going to be an issue. And so it's not neither which one is the best, it's what's going to work for you. Because once you get married, you got to make it work. And if it's not the best way, which I believe putting your money together, pooling your money together, I think is the best way. Planning to spend your money together, I think is the best way. Tithing your money together is the best way. Giving your money together is the best way. I think that when you plan it, spend it together, it's the best way. But that takes a certain level of communication skills. And I think one of the things couples have to learn to do is easy to talk about making a budget. It's more difficult to live on one. And so when you're talking about couples coming together having arguments, that's a real thing. I mean, I'm talking about in my own marriage, after being married for years, arguing over money. And a lot of times, the more money you make is not really the issue. It's who's going to spend, what's the priorities a lot of times. So I think we want to have a discussion on that today. What are some guidelines? What are some of the things that you can do first to make sure that if you're going to plan to spend your money together, that's what we're talking about, putting it all in one pot and moving forward. Because some couples, they just can't do it. They're going to, this is my money, you do what you want with your money. They work with that, they live like that. I don't live like that. I'm going to talk about what
They do the sort of the roommate arrangement, because when I had a roommate, that's kind of what we did. We had it set up where he wrote the check for the rent, and then we divided or deducted half of all the bills, and whatever the remainder was is what I put in on the rent, and and we worked at it that way. Each one had responsibilities. I was responsible for paying the cable, and I think the utilities, and he was responsible for writing the rent check and some other check that we had jointly. And so everybody had responsibilities, but certainly I wasn't telling him what to do with his money. He wasn't telling me what to do with mine. And so we kind of had that sort of a roommate setup. But marriage is not like having a roommate.
No, there's an incredible level of communication and trust when we give each other permission to have access to our finances. That's a level of intimacy you don't get in other relationships. You're saying, hey, I trust you so much, I'm going to give you access to my finances. And it's really interesting that in some marriages, you have people that say, hey, I'm going to give you access to my body, but I'm not going to give you access to my money. I'm like, what? Your body is important. I mean, you give a person access, but you don't trust them. So I think when you start looking at giving people access, your spouse access to your money, that's saying you're trying to reach a higher level of communication and intimacy in your relationships. And sometimes that comes early in a marriage, sometimes it comes later in a marriage, and sometimes it never comes. And some marriages they survive. But I want to talk about today is how do you get there? How do you get to this point where you're sharing your finances together? I think first of all, you got to talk about it. You got to say, hey, this is what we want to try to do. We're going to put our money in one pot, and then we're going to spend it together on paper. And then you got to talk about your goals. What is important to you as a couple? And then you got to develop what I call shared goals. Shared goals are when you say, this is what we both want to do together. And then start prioritizing your goals. So in other words, say you've got a couple that they've got some student debt loan, they got some credit cards, a couple of things they want to get rid of, and they agree, hey, we're going to pay off this debt. This is what we're agreeing to do. And you both say we're going to do this as a team. Now you got two people saying, this is a goal for us. We're going to work on this together. Not you do it and I just sit back here and whatever you do is fine. I don't. But no, you buying into it. And I think when you buy into it, both couples buying into it, both persons in a marriage relationship, you become unstoppable. We've seen hundreds of couples over the years we work with. When they learn to agree to spend their money on paper, they have shared goals, you can't stop them because they're going to be building up spiritual muscles. They're going to be building their financial muscles because when you take the time to talk about your money each week, there's a certain amount of discipline that comes from that. There's a certain level of sacrifice. You both are sacrificing together. As you sacrifice together for that goal, you create intimacy with one another. We're doing this together. Now, if you do that over time and you start winning doing that, hey, we did that together. If we did that, then we could do some other things together. And you just realize that there's nothing that you can't do together if you put your minds, your heart, your family, and your money together. And so there is a certain level of what I call financial strength and financial muscles that you build when you work together as a couple that you don't get when his money is over here, her money is over there. It's not bringing you together and strengthening that as a team, and so you don't have those arguments. You've learned to move past that. That's not to say a person's not going to mess up. I mean, I'm one of those kind of persons. I guess I could tell my own story. In my marriage, when my wife and I decided to get out of debt and pay some things off, I really didn't buy into it like 100%. I was like, yeah, go ahead and do it. I'm here. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, go ahead. It sounds good.
It sounds
good. That really sounds good. But I'm not,
for it.
and I wasn't really buying into it,
Yeah.
but I was like there. I was listening to conversations, and so what happens when that goes on is you get a person in the relationship spending money secretly. You're spending money on your credit card. You're doing things because you're not being honest. You're not coming to the table saying, "I'm buying into this thing," because you might have a credit card over here that you got on your own, and you're not telling that person about it. And so, part of putting your money in the same pot is that you develop trust. You develop intimacy. There's a certain level of integrity that you're saying, "I'm going to do this."
Yeah.
So you got to have two people that's willing to do that. I remember a lot of time buying things and hiding them in the trunk because I didn't want my wife to know I had overspent the budget. I was out spending money I shouldn't have been spending. And then at the end of the month, when you're sitting there looking, it's like, come on, dude.
Okay.
What's up?
Now, hold on. I got to stop you there. And by the way, we're talking to Michael Vance. He is with Stewardship of Wealth. We're talking today about